Good evening, friends. Welcome to Going to Ground. Well, it being Friday evening and my night off, I'm allowing myself a small bowl of peanuts and a schooner of sherry. Cheers. Is that the most archetypical clergyman's drink that you can think of? I suspect it is. But I grew up in a rectory, as you know, and the smell of sherry mixed with newsprint. It was the aroma of Sunday after morning church. My father would have a glass of sherry and read the Sunday paper, and to this day that is a wonderful blend of aromas to me, and immediately restful. So your good health. And although I can't always post when I'm out and about during the week, I try at the end of the week to paint a picture with words of the encounters and reflections that I've had, and I'm going to do that this evening. So pour yourself a little something and listen along if you'd like to. This is a seasonal piece about this point in Advent, and it is called O Radix. Mistletoe nests are an arresting sight, perched high in a winter tree. Rootless puffs and clusters of green, they are alien and unlikely enough to pull me into a makeshift lay-by and gaze dizzily up into their orbit. Late in Advent, I'm following the Avon River south to Fordingbridge along the border of the diocese for a few festive visits, a bottle on a doorstep, a porchway prayer. Over the rusting scrub of hail purlieu, the New Forest has an entirely different complexion to my usual chalk downland. I feel like a tourist here, passing through. We have Pliny the Elder to thank for the association of oak mistletoe with Druidic practice, his natural history referring to its ceremonial gathering with a gold sickle by white-robed priests, whose cloaks cupped the fallen sprigs so they would not touch the ground, remaining suspended between heaven and earth. It was this single reference that the 18th century antiquarian and Anglican clergyman William Stukeley, who saw druids on these plains as readily as Blake viewed angels in Peckham, adopted and amplified in his narrative, wherein such foundling clerics became patriarchal forerunners of Christianity, with mistletoe, because of its mystical provenance and unusual growth in winter, a type of the expected Messiah, he wrote. Well, whether it be the golden bough of mythology, mistletoe is not miraculously begotten or self-sustaining, but parasitic, drawing moisture from the host tree which it slowly weakens. It is, as Wiltshire naturalist Geoffrey Grigson observed in his indispensable study of plant law, The Englishman's Flora, which I can highly recommend to you. In fact, I think one of you recommended it to me. Thank you. It's essentially an excrescence, drawing on roots not its own. As such, it makes a metaphor of sorts for Anthropocene culture, when harmful human impact upon the environment has grown apace with our spiritual and commercial detachment from the soil. Unfettered consumption has been a powerful aphrodisiac, magical even in effect. But the existential threat from living as if we floated above the earth is one we now feel keenly, like the slicing December wind. Jesus, John the Baptist cried, was an axe poised at the roots of a fruitless trunk. And while the Nativity places the Christ child deep in his Jewish ancestry, a rod out of the stem of Jesse, as Isaiah puts it, and a branch out of his roots, the New Testament holds the radical promise that those who have no such footing may find everlasting life when grafted into his stock. In the early English poem, The Dream of the Rood, the dead wood of the cross, tree of our ruin, becomes of all beams the brightest and buried with jewels. And in the Sarum Rite, the Latin liturgy developed in Salisbury Cathedral and used in its worship between the Norman Conquest and the Reformation, each of the 7 days before Christmas Eve was marked by an antiphon calling upon Christ to lead and deliver his people at last. Passing back through the city on my way home, I asked the masked guides to point me toward a medieval window containing, I have learned, some of the oldest historiated stained glass in the country. Though dulled by time and low light, I can just make out the snaking lines of a 13th century Jesse tree depicting Jesus' earthly genealogy. Halfway up, the Saviour roosts among its branches, his garment green as an apple. And the prayer it's for tomorrow, actually. These antiphons. An antiphon is a kind of bidding prayer, and they feature in the famous Advent carol, O come, Emmanuel. You know that, O come, Emmanuel. That most evocative pre-Christmas carol. The antiphon for tomorrow actually is about the root of Jesse, this sort of branch, Jesse being King David's father, and Jesus, as you might recall, from the line of David. To you in David's town this day is born of David's line, as the other carol puts it. And the prayer runs like this: O root of Jesse, standing as a sign among the peoples, before you kings will shut their mouths, to you the nations will make their prayer. Come and deliver us, and delay no longer. Friends, God bless you as you go to ground.